Good afternoon, children. Welcome to the class today. Today, our topic is ecosystem. So, ecosystem do comes under the chapter or the module ecology. And yesterday, we had the class on organisms and populations. And now we are coming to the next part or the connection of that part of that topic, the organisms and populations, where we discussed about the abiotic factors. Now here we are moving to the biotic factors and the terms related to it. So what ecosystem defines? So ecosystem is the functional unit of nature where interactions of living organisms with themselves and with physical environment takes place. Again, it is the interaction between biotic factors and abiotic factors, that is the physical environment. So when an individual living in a habitat interact with the biotic and abiotic factors, and that will constitute an ecosystem. So ecosystem is a community actually of living organisms which consist of plants, animals and microorganisms in conjunction with the non-living components of their environment, the abiotic factors like air, water, mineral, soil, etc. They are interacting as a system. When these all components interact each other as a system, that makes the ecosystem. Now, the term ecosystem was coined by A.G. Tansley. This is very important in NEET exam. And the father of ecosystem ecology is E.P. Odum. Now, there are two types of ecosystem, artificial and natural. Artificial ecosystem is man-made ecosystem. For example, the crop field, aquarium, etc., which are constructed or made by the humans. Now, coming to natural ecosystem, the examples include the terrestrial ecosystem as well as aquatic ecosystem, which are present on Earth naturally. It is not like synthesized or made by any individual. It's already present or it got evolved in the nature by itself. Now we have terrestrial ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem is classified into forest, grassland and desert. Now aquatic ecosystem is classified into freshwater and saltwater ecosystem. The freshwater ecosystem are the lentic ponds, lakes and lotic, river and streams. The saltwater ecosystem are wetlands, estuaries, marine, etc. So this is about the types of ecosystem: artificial, natural, terrestrial, aquatic. Now, coming to stratification. Now, moving to the term stratification. So vertical distribution of different species occupying different levels in an ecosystem is called stratification. That is, here you could see the level, the herbs will be like covering around below 10 meter, the shrubs will be in between 20 to 10 meter, short trees will be coming below 30 meters, and the tall trees will be above the 30 meter, up to 50-meter height even. So the vertical distribution of different species, for example, here the plants, that is the grass, then herbs, then shrubs, then the top trees. So they are distributed in different levels in an ecosystem. That is stratification. Now, the structure of ecosystem. As we discussed, they consist of biotic and abiotic components. The biotic factors are producers, consumers and decomposers. The abiotic factors are temperature, water, light and soil, which we discussed in the last class. Now let's move to the biotic factors in detail. First is producers. So producers are also known as autotrophs. So autotrophs are the group of organisms which can synthesize their own food. It is their own food synthesized by mainly photosynthesis. And all the autotrophs of the ecosystem are called producers, which include the green plants. As I mentioned, the main process, photosynthesis. So the energy enters the ecosystem through producers. As we know, the sun provides the solar energy, and this solar energy is converted into chemical energy by plants, isn't it? So the plants convert So plants convert the solar energy into chemical energy by photosynthesis. Now this, as that means the solar energy is the ultimate source of energy. Now moving to aquatic ecosystem, the phytoplankton are the major autotrophs. So the two types of the autotrophs are photoautotrophs and chemoautotrophs. So what are consumers next? Consumers are also known as heterotrophs. So all the heterotrophs of the ecosystem are known as consumers. And they digest their food inside the body. There is first ingestion than digestion. So here they will be consuming the plants. So plants will be consumed by the consumers or the animals. So animals will be ingesting the plants and then digesting their food. And they are also known as macro consumers or phagotrophs or holozoic. And now there are three types of consumers: primary, secondary and tertiary. Primary consumers are also known as herbivorous, which includes cow, rabbit, goat, etc. Secondary consumers consist of the dog, cat, snake, which are the carnivorous, primary carnivorous animals. Then tertiary consumers or the top consumers consist of the secondary carnivorous animals like lion, man, etc. Moving to decomposers. So decomposers decomposes the dead body of producers and consumers. They are also known as reducers, transformers, osmotrophs. They are also known as micro-consumers as well. So they convert the complex organic material into simpler organic substance. For example, the bacteria, fungi, etc. So as we know, the plants will be converting the solar energy into chemical energy in the form of glucose, and this glucose is consumed by the animals, and they break down this glucose into energy, that is ATP, and they'll be releasing carbon dioxide, as well as they'll be like utilizing as well as producing water, and also they will be breaking down these organic molecules into some waste products as well. For example, urea, uric acid, ammonia, etc. Now these animals are made up of the organic molecules like carbohydrates. They are made up of proteins, lipids, and these are breaking down in again into simpler organic substances, and that is done by the microorganisms. So these molecules are again broken down into organic substances. In the sense, it could be carbon dioxide, it could be methane, it could be amino groups like amino acids, etc. Now, the major function of ecosystem: productivity, decomposition, energy flow and nutrient cycling. Productivity. Next topic. So productivity. Productivity is a rate of biomass production per unit area during a given period of time. That is what productivity is. So it is measuring the biomass, how much organisms are living there, or how much organisms are produced at a particular time at a particular area. And this is measured in terms of weight or energy. And it is also used to compare the productivity of different ecosystems. For example, considering the ecosystem of a pond and another consideration in a river, we can look for the productivity in pond and productivity of river respectively and compare them. Now, what is primary productivity? Primary productivity is the amount of biomass produced per unit area in a given period of time by plants during photosynthesis. Because primary producers consist of the plants, that is the autotrophs. So primary productivity represents the amount of biomass produced by the plants. Okay. Now what is GPP? GPP refers to gross primary productivity. That is the rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis. So as I mentioned, during photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide and water combine to form carbohydrates and oxygen. So this carbohydrates refers to the organic matter synthesized during photosynthesis. So the rate of production of this organic matter will be referring to gross primary productivity, that is GPP. And as we know that this oxygen will be released from the plants, and also this is about the photosynthesis, and the plants do carry out respiration as well, cellular respiration, where this oxygen will be breaking down the glucose molecule and converting it into carbon dioxide and water. The exact opposite reaction of photosynthesis. That is the respiration process. So, of this GPP, some of the carbohydrate molecule will undergo cellular respiration. It is converted into carbon dioxide, water, as well as ATP, that is energy. So that means some amount of organic matter is lost during respiration. So GPP minus RRR, that is a respiration loss, is the NPP, that is a net primary productivity. Overall, what is the productivity of a plant refers to the total productivity minus the respiration loss, because they utilize certain amount of matter, organic matter, in respiration. Okay, so GPP is not equal to NPP because a considerable amount of GPP is utilized by the plants in respiration. Second is secondary productivity. Now this is a rate of formation of new organic matter by consumers in a given period of time. So secondary refers to the consumers here. Now this is a formation of new organic matter by consumers in a given period of time. So here, as the plants are consumed by the animals, now they convert this organic product into some other kind of organic product. For example, amino acids will be converted to, amino acids will be converted to proteins. Now, phosphate, they will the purines and pyrimidines, the nitrogenous bases will be developed into, they'll be combining together to form the nucleic acid. So these are the new organic matter formed inside a consumer's body. And there are certain other products released from the consumers as well. So that is the secondary productivity. Now moving to decomposition. As we discussed, it is a process of breaking down the dead organic matter into smaller organic as well as inorganic molecules by the decomposers, that is the bacteria, fungi, the microorganisms. Now what does detritus refers to? So detritus refers to raw materials of decomposition as dead plants, animals, and animal fecus is called the detritus. So raw materials of the decomposition is detritus. Examples are the dead plants, animals, animal feces, etc. Now what are detritivores? The animals that feed on the decaying organic matter is called the detritivores. The organism which feed the detritus. The earthworms, termites, snails, etc. So what are the stages of decomposition? First is fragmentation of detritus. We have to break down the detritus into smaller particles. And this is done by the detritivores. So that is a Earthworms, termites, snails, they'll be breaking down these larger organic molecules into smaller particles. Okay, so here we have larger molecule. It is broken down into smaller molecules by these detritivores. Clear? Got it? Now next process is leaching. Now what is leaching? These soluble inorganic nutrients dissolve in water and goes down to the soil, get precipitated. That is called leaching. So this way, as this breakdown is happening, there could be some smaller particles which consist of soluble inorganic nutrients. Okay, so this will be dissolving in the water and they goes down to the soil. They will be mixing up with the soil and they get precipitated, and this is called leaching. Next term is catabolism. So the decomposers release certain enzymes to decompose the detritus into simpler organic compounds. So next comes the saprotrophs, the organisms like bacteria, fungi. They release certain enzymes to decompose the detritus into similar organic compounds. Whereas the detritivores just break down the detritus into smaller particles and they just break down this larger molecule into smaller one. No enzymes are released there. Okay. Now next term is humification. That is simplified detritus converted into humus. Now what is humus? Humus is dark, amorphous substance which is highly resistant to microbial action. It means microbes cannot break down these molecules. They undergo decomposition very slowly and they act as reservoir of nutrients because of their colloidal nature. They act as nutrients for the plants. For agriculture, we use this humus. So the simplified detritus is converted into humus, that is known as humification. Now next comes mineralization. So when the humus is degraded into release inorganic substances and nutrients, that is known as mineralization. That is, minerals are formed from the humus. From the humus, we'll get calcium, magnesium, potassium, etc. Now the factors affecting the rate of decomposition. First is the chemical composition and second is the climatic condition. Chemical composition means like if the detritus is rich in lignin and chitin, the decomposition rate will be slow. And if the detritus is rich in nitrogen and water soluble substances like sugars, the rate will be increasing. Okay, that is about the chemical composition. Because lignin and chitin are hard substances and they are very difficult to break down these highly polymeric substances. Whereas coming to water soluble substances like sugar, amino acid, and nitrogen, and all, it is very easy for the decomposition. Moving to climatic conditions, the warm and moist environment favor decomposition, whereas low temperature and anaerobiosis inhibit decomposition. So they need the amount of oxygen there. They need moist, that means water, the humidity, the moist component is needed. They need the temperature as well. Temperature should be high rather than being low. Then it can enhance the decomposition process. Now moving to food chain. I think everybody know this because you have learned it from the basic class itself. That is a transfer of energy or food from the producers to a series of organisms known as food chain. This represents the energy flow through ecosystem. For example, here you can see the grass is having by photosynthesis, they synthesize food and they convert that energy to it means the goat will be consuming the grass and they transfer that energy to the goat and goat will be consumed by the man and that energy will be consumed they will be transferred to the man. So different steps in the food chain are called the trophic levels. So each level is called the trophic level. Now, for example, the grazing food chain, the food chain that begins with producers, continued with herbivores is called grazing food chain. Now, detritus food chain, the second type. So this starts with the detritus, begins with dead organic matter, and the saprophytes, that is a bacteria, fungi, they will decompose the detritus. These are the decomposers. Saprophytes are the decomposers which feed on the detritus. So detritus will be consumed by, for example, the earthworm, which is consumed by the bird. Now, next is the parasitic food chain. So, in a tree, the tree's seeds or the flowers will be consumed by the bird. Now, the birds will be undergoing, like the parasites can feed on, parasite will be hosting on the birds for their shelter as well as food demand. Now, moving to trophic level, as we mentioned, each step of the food chain is called the trophic level. There are four trophic levels: first trophic level, second, third, and fourth. First trophic level is producers, second is primary consumers, secondary is the third trophic level is the secondary consumers, and the fourth trophic level is the top consumers. And the first trophic level, which consists of the producers or autotrophs, will be having the higher energy level, the level of energy. So the four entropic level are present in ecosystem because the levels of energy decreases during the flow of energy from one tropic to another tropic level. If the plants are having 100% of energy with them, only 10% is transferred to the primary consumers. And from again 10% of the energy transferred to the second tropic level is transferred to the next tropic level. Again 10%. So only 10% is transferred from one level to another. The remaining is lost as heat energy. Now, what is standing crop? So each trophic level has a certain mass of living material at a particular time, that is called standing crop. The standing crop is measured as the mass of living organisms or biomass, or the number in an unit area. Okay, so if considering the first trophic level, how much plants are growing in a particular time at a particular area, that is the standing crop there. Now, food web, as the diagram explains, the interconnection of food chains form the food web. So here you can see the grass is consumed by the grass vapor. Grass vapors can be consumed by both plants as well as the animals. So it is like there are connection of food chains. That is a food web. Now, energy flow, as we explained right till now, the sun is transferring the energy to producers, producers to consumers, consumers to decomposers, and also certain amount of energy is lost as heat energy. Again, the decomposers will be converting organic into inorganic nutrient pool, which is consumed again by the producers. It's like a cycle. So the storage, the expenditure, the transformation of energy is based on two basic laws of thermodynamics. Energy can be neither created nor destroyed. It can be transferred or it can be converted from one form to another. Ecological pyramid. Graphical representation of ecological parameters at different trophic level is in ecosystem is called pyramid. So it is a graphical representation. So graphical representation of ecological parameters. Ecological parameters will include the number of organisms, the biomass of organisms, the energy level of the organisms at different trophic level. So different trophic level will be referring the first trophic level, the second trophic level, the third trophic level, the fourth trophic level, and the ecological parameters can consist of what all things? The biomass, as it is given biomass, the energy, the number of organisms, etc. Now, what are the characteristic features of ecological pyramids? The base of the pyramid is broad, isn't it? The base of the pyramid is very broad and it is narrow at the apex. It is very narrow at the apex. Now, the relationship can be expressed in the terms of, as I mentioned, number, energy, or biomass. The base of the pyramid is represented by, what is the first trophic level? producers. And apex, that is a top consumer, are like the top consumers, or the secondary carnivorous animals or the tertiary consumers will be representing the top consumers level, and other trophic levels will be in between. Now, so this is an example for the pyramids. This is a pyramid of numbers and this is a pyramid of biomass. So first level is producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumers. Here this is also showing that the biomass is decreasing as we move towards the top level, and here again the pyramid of numbers are also decreasing as we move through the consecutive trophic levels from producers to tertiary consumers. As we move up, the number level as well as the biomass and level is decreasing. Because why it happens? Because only out of this 100%, only 10% is transferred to the next level. Only so the energy that the final group, the final apex level consumers are receiving are very low compared to the producers. So it will be showing a normal pyramid which is having a higher value in the base level and a low value in the top level. Now, what is inverted pyramid? So pyramid of number in a tree ecosystem is inverted. So in a tree, there'll be like more birds will be there, so much of insects could be there. So that means compared to a tree, there could be some more animals will be living on that tree. And similarly, in sea, the pyramid of biomass in the sea is also inverted because the biomass of fishes is more than phytoplankton. Rather than the plants, there will be more animals over it. So that is an inverted pyramid. The base will be of lower value, whereas the upper level will be having higher value. Producers will be lower compared to the primary consumers. The pyramid of energy is always upright. That means the energy pyramid, as we mentioned right now, they will be always upright. They can never be inverted because the energy flows from a particular trophic level to the next, and some energy is lost as heat at each step. Only 10% is transferred to the next level. Now, what are the limitations of ecological pyramid? This is very important. So first limitation is it does not take into account the same species belonging to two or more trophic levels. That is a one limitation. They will not consider the same species which is belonging to two or more trophic levels, two different trophic levels. If a particular species like two different species are not two different, the same species belonging to two, or like if one is in primary consumers and one is coming in secondary consumers, they will not consider it. Second is it does not accommodate a food web. This is also very important. They will not accommodate a food web. This is a limitation of ecological pyramids. Now, saprophytes do not have any place. Saprophytes in the sense the bacteria, the fungi, they do not have any place in the ecological pyramids. Now, moving to ecological succession. So what is ecological succession? The development of plant community on a barren area is called ecological succession or biotic succession. Here you can see this is a bare, like nothing is there, bare rocks. From there, small plants started growing, small grasses started developing, then small shrubs started developing, then large, like taller trees started growing, not started growing, they developed into taller trees, isn't it? That is what ecological succession or biotic succession is. So a gradual and predictable change in the species composition of a given area. This is a gradual and predictable change. We know that if like there is some kind of organism starting to develop in an area, that means yes, in the future or gradually there will be some kind of organisms or some kind of community over there. Now, the biotic communities are never stable. The living communities are never stable. Now, what is pioneer species? The first species that invade a bare area is the pioneer species. So here, the first species, it is a lichen, small amount of plants and lichens, grasses and perennials are the pioneer species. The first species that invade a bare area. Now, what is climax species? It is a last and stable community in an area. Here, the last and stable community is the shade-tolerant trees such as oak and hickory. So, the larger trees. Now, the serial stages. So, in succession stages, which comes between pioneer community and climax community, is called the transitional or serial community. That is the intermediate species. Serial community or transitional community, or we can say intermediate community. Now, the causes of succession. First is the biotic factors, second is the physiological factors. Biotic factors in the sense favorable for next community. For example, if small grasses are growing in, or weeds, we could say some weeds are growing in a particular area, and the weeds will be having, or they'll be attracting some kind of other plants, or it will be like the weeds will be holding the soil's humidity, as like the soil will be having more water content, so it can enhance the growth of some other plants as well. That is a favorable for next community, the biotic factors. Or else that area will be having more, I mean, like some birds or insects which are uh, like carrying out the pollination, which can enhance the growth of so many plants over there as well. Now, the physiological factors are the unfavorable conditions. So why it is happening? Like as a result, like suddenly why a succession happens? It could be like some fire, disaster. This can also completely destroy some organisms, and later on some species can grow over there. So some physiological matters also cause the reason for succession. Now, types of succession. First is primary and second is secondary succession. Primary succession starts where no living organisms are there. For example, this one. This started with a bare rock. There were no organism. It could be because of some volcanic lava, landslides, etc. That makes the physiological factors. Now, the secondary succession is where the vegetation was present previously but destroyed due to natural or artificial causes like fire, flood, etc. This one. There were plants because of some kind of a flood or like fire, it got completely destroyed, and later some plants started growing, and finally the climax community got developed. Okay. Now, based on the nature of habitat, whether it is water or it is on very dry area, succession of plant is called hydrarch or serrage. Now, hydrarch succession. This takes place in wet areas, and the succession series progress from hydric to the mesic condition. So, hydrarch succession takes place in the wet areas, and the succession series progress from hydric. I'll show the diagram here. Yeah, this is the stages, the phytoplankton stages, the rooted submerged stages, free floating stages, reed swamp stages, sedge meadow stage, scrub stage, and finally the forest stage. So it is from water, the phytoplankton, and finally to the climax is the terrestrial plants like the forest stage. That is a tree. So it is from the hydric to the mesic condition. Now, as against this, the serrage succession takes place in dry areas, and the series progress from xeric to mesic conditions. So here I will see the diagram again for this. So here it is starting from the bare rocks. Lichens started developing, then small annual plants, lichens, then the perennial herbs, grasses, then shrubs started growing. Finally, the climax community, the shade-tolerant trees. So this is an example for serrage succession, which consists of lichen stages, moss, herb, shrub, and finally forest. So from xeric to mesic conditions. So both hierarch and xerarch succession lead to medium water conditions, that is mesic, neither too dry, that is xeric, nor too wet, that is hydric. So all these, like both hierarch and xerarch, leads to the medium water conditions, that is mesic, neither too dry nor too wet. Now, moving finally to the nutrient cycling part. So, nutrient cycling or biogeochemical cycling. A nutrient cycle or ecological recycling is the movement and exchange of organic and inorganic matter back into the product ion of living matter. So, we'll explain this with the examples. So, one among the examples is the carbon cycle. So we know that we have carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and it is taken up by the plants. Carbon dioxide is absorbed and they carry out photosynthesis. So they'll be producing organic carbon. This will be consumed by the primary consumers and they will be undergoing respiration as well. So they will be releasing oxygen and they convert this organic carbon into more complex as well as simple organic compounds and the dead plants as well as the dead animals will be decaying and they will be converted to organic as well as simple organic as well as inorganic materials and they will be converted to fossils and fossil fuel and these fossil fuels will be like releasing, they can be releasing they'll be like by the burning of these fuels they'll be releasing carbon dioxide and even as I mentioned by animal respiration they release carbon dioxide also. So this is a cycle of carbon in ecosystem. So, a nutrient cycle is the movement and exchange of organic and inorganic matter. So, here in case of carbon cycle, the carbohydrates H12O6 is being synthesized in plants. It is taken to animals and then they are broken down into small organic as well as inorganic components. So, these are the process happening in the nutrient cycling. The process is regulated by food web pathways that decompose matter into mineral nutrients. Now, the nutrient cycles occur within the ecosystem, and ecosystems are interconnected systems where matter and energy flows and it is exchanged as organisms feed, digest, and migrate. Just now we explained it. It is happening within the ecosystem and they are interconnected systems. Here the matter and energy flows. That means you can see here, right, in this diagram. They are converting the carbon from one form to another. They're interconverted there. And also the minerals and nutrients accumulate in varied densities and uneven configurations. So there are two types of cycles, gaseous cycle and sedimentary cycle. The gaseous cycle includes the carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, etc., which have its reservoir of nutrient in atmosphere. Now, whereas sedimentary cycle, they have the reservoir of nutrient in the earth crust. For example, the sulfur cycle, or as well as phosphorus cycle also. The carbon cycle, as I mentioned, carbon constitutes 49% of the dry weight of organism. We all are made up of carbon. That is why we are organism. And about 0.003% of carbon dioxide is present in atmosphere. The carbon is fixed in the biosphere through photosynthesis. And it returns to the atmosphere as carbon dioxide through respiratory activities of producers and consumers. Now, the decomposers contribute some amount of carbon dioxide from dead organic matter. So, burning of wood, forest fire, combustion of organic matter, fossil fuel, volcanic activity also release carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, what we explained earlier. Clear with this diagram? Now, moving to phosphorus cycle. Phosphorus is a major constituent of organism. Do you know where it is found? In nucleic acid, phospholipids, and in some polysaccharides, they do have phosphate, isn't it? Like glucose 6-phosphate, fructose 6-phosphate, they do have phosphate, isn't it? So it is found in nucleic acid and cellular energy transfer system. Yeah, even our energy, the energy what we utilize is having the phosphate. They are like, so that means we need phosphorus. Now, many animals also need large quantities of this element to make shells, bones, and teeth. The natural reservoir of phosphorus is rock. So what is a natural reservoir of phosphorus? It is the rocks, in which it contains in the form of phosphates. It is in the form of phosphates. Now when the rocks are weathered, minute amounts of phosphates dissolve in the soil solution and absorbed by the roots of the plant. So from the rocks, yeah. So here from the rock minerals by weathering it mixed with the soil solution, and it is taken up, this uptake is taken by the producers. Like from the plants, like from the soil the plants will be taking it up, and from producers it will be going to the consumers. From consumers it will be like by decomposition, detritus will be having it, and again after decomposition it is going back to the soil solution. That is a phosphorus cycle actually. So the herbivores and other animals obtain this element from plants. And the waste products and the dead organism are decomposed by the phosphate solubilizing bacteria releasing the phosphorus. So again they are coming back to the soil. So this is the phosphorus cycle. Now what are the ecosystem services? So the products of ecosystem process are called ecosystem services. And it purifies, for example, the forest ecosystem purify air and water. It avoids droughts and flood. It cycle nutrients and generate fertile soil. It provides wildlife habitat, maintain biodiversity. It provides storage site for carbon. It also provides aesthetic, cultural and spiritual values. So these are the ecosystem services which are provided by the forest ecosystem, for example. So, that we are coming to an end to the content part. Now we'll go to the questions part. Past paper questions. So from May 2013, when man eats fish which feeds on zooplankton which have eaten small plants, the producer in the chain is what? Of course, A, isn't it? If a man eats a fish, so here the fish is eaten by the man, and man, like the fish is feeding on the zooplankton which have eaten small plants. So which is a producer here? This is a primary producer, the plants. And this is a primary consumers, the secondary consumers, the tertiary consumers. So small plants is the correct answer. Moving to the next question from May 2013. Which one of the following is a primary consumer in the maize field ecosystem? So here we have options grasshopper, wool, phytoplankton and lion. From this we could deselect option C, phytoplankton, because they comes in the aquatic ecosystem. Now this is about primary consumers. Among this we could deselect option D and B, wolf and lion. They are not the primary consumers. Primary consumers are usually herbivorous animals which feed on plants or the producers like maize. So option A is the correct answer. Moving to next question from May 2013. Benthic organisms are affected most by what? So benthic animals are those that reside deep within the ocean or at the bottom of any of the body of water. So benthos are impacted by the features of the sediments found in the aquatic ecosystem. So whatever sediments are present in the aquatic environment that affect the features, like that affect the organisms, the benthic organisms. So here the answer will be option C, the sediment characteristics of aquatic ecosystem. So this question is from May 2013. Which one of the following is not a parasitic adaptation? Option A, development of adhesive organs or the sticky organ development. So actually the parasites do have the adhesive organs to aid in their attachment to host tissues. So they have produced the sticky organs. So this first option is incorrect answer because it is a parasitic adaptation. B, loss of digestive organ. So in order to take nutrients from their host organisms, parasites have evolved sucking mechanism in place of their digestive system. So they do not have any digestive organs. So that means loss of digestive organs is also true about parasitic adaptation. So option B is incorrect answer. Option C, loss of reproductive capacity. So the reproductive system of parasites is highly developed. And this is due to the fact that in order to infect new host. So that means loss of reproductive capacity is incorrect regarding the parasitic adaptation. So option C is the correct answer. Option D, loss of unnecessary sense organ. So in most cases, the parasites reside inside the host. So that means parasites don't need to adapt when their surroundings change. So the unnecessary sense organ loss is true regarding parasitic adaptation. So it is incorrect. The correct answer is option C. Now, moving to the next question. This is from June 2024. Now, which one of the following is not a limitation of ecological pyramids? Just now we read this. So, saprophytes are not given any place in the ecological pyramids. This is true regarding the limitations of ecological pyramid, isn't it? Saprophytes which decompose the organic matter are not typically represented in ecological pyramids, which is a limitation. Option A is incorrect. It assumes a simple food chain that almost never exists in nature. This is also true regarding the limitations of ecological pyramids because ecological pyramids often assume a linear food chain, but in reality, the food webs are complex and interconnected, making this a limitation. So option B is also incorrect. Option C, it accommodates a food web. This is incorrect. They do not accommodate food webs. They are structured to represent simple linear food chains, which is a limitation. So option C is the correct answer. Option D, it does not take into account the same species belonging to two or more trophic levels. This is also incorrect, isn't it? Because this is a limitation of ecological pyramid. We learned it in the previous slides, isn't it? So option C is the correct answer. Now, consider the pyramid of energy of an ecosystem given here. Now, if T4 is equivalent to 1000 joule, what is the value of T1? We know that only if this is 100% of energy in T1, then only 10% is transferred to T2. And from here, only 10% is transferred to T3. From here again, 10%. So if T4 is having 1000 joule, that means T3 will be having T4 divided by 0.10. That means 10% of X is equal to 1000 joule. Then X is equal to 1000 divided by 10 into 100. So that is equal to 1000 into 10, that is 10,000 joule. In similar way, T2 can be calculated, that is 10,000 into 10,000 into 10, which is equal to 1 lakh joule. Again, in order to find T1, T2 divided by 0.10. 0.10 in the sense it is 10 by 100 divided by 10 by 100. You have to do that, isn't it? So again, you have to multiply, that is 1 lakh. Here, 1 lakh into 10. That is equal to 10 lakh joule. So here the answer will be option D, 10 lakh joule. Now, next question is from May 2015. Secondary succession takes place on or in what? Degraded forest, newly created pond, newly cooled lava, bare rock. The answer is option A, degraded forest. Newly created pond, newly cooled lava, bare rock will be undergoing primary succession, not secondary succession. They are undergoing primary succession. So what is secondary succession? Secondary succession takes place in areas where the biotic communities have been destroyed or like already destroyed. That means they had some plants before. After destruction, they lost the biotic communities. For example, degraded forest, burned forest, etc. Because of some human activities or natural calamities like fire, flood, etc. Okay. Moving to the next question from May 2015. In an ecosystem, the rate of production of organic matter during photosynthesis is termed as, what is it? GPP, isn't it? Gross primary productivity. Next question. The mass, it is from May 2015, the mass of living material at a trophic level at a particular time is called what? That is the standing crop. So in a particular level, for example, in a primary consumers or producers, the mass of the living material at that trophic level at a particular time, that is referring to standing crop. Now, moving to the next question from September 2020. An easy question. You have two columns here. In first column, you have the 4 different trophic levels and the second column has different organisms. Now, first let's look into first trophic level. Anyway, first trophic level will be having the autotrophs, or we can say the producers plants. So it will be having grass, that is, this is C. Now, second trophic level, that is the primary consumers, the herbivorous animals, and rabbit will be included in that category. That means this is B. Now, moving to the third trophic level, that is the secondary consumers, that is the carnivorous animals or the omnivorous animals, or we can say the secondary herbivores, the primary carnivorous animals like crow. So this will be D. Now fourth trophic level, the apex trophic level, where they'll be having the secondary carnivorous animals, which are the tertiary consumers, which includes vulture. So they will be denoted as A. So here we have option C as the correct answer. A is 2, B is 3, and C is 4, D is 1. Okay. Moving to the next question. This question is from May 2018. What type of ecological pyramid would be obtained with the following data? So here we have the primary producers as 10 gram. Now we have the second level primary consumers with 60 grams. So that means it is larger than the first level. So the 60 gram. And secondary consumers, that is the third level, they are having more, 120 gram. So this is an example for inverted pyramid, isn't it? So option A, inverted pyramid of biomass. Next question is from May 2018. What is a niche? We learned it in the previous class actually. So a niche is a functional role and the position of an organism in its environment, including its interaction with abiotic and biotic factors. So the correct answer is option C, functional role played by the organism where it lives. And it is exactly different from habitat. Moving to the next question from May 2018. Which of the following organisms are known as chief producers in the oceans? Answer is option B, diatoms. Diatoms are considered the primary or the chief producers in the ocean. They are highly abundant and especially in colder and nutrient-rich waters and are responsible for a significant portion of the photosynthesis that occurs in the marine environment. And they convert the sunlight into energy and play a crucial role in marine food chain, supporting a variety of marine life. So here you can see the zooplankton is depending on the diatoms. So it is like acting like a starter here, producers, or chief producers in the ocean. This question is from May 2018. Which one of the following population interactions is widely used in medical science for the production of antibiotics? So the answer is option C, amensalism. So we know that the antibiotics are produced by the fungus. Okay, so this fungus will be producing a substance that is antibiotics, which is harmful for the bacteria. So this will be killing the bacteria. So the bacteria is affected or harmed by the antibiotics. But this antibiotics don't have any effect on the fungus. It is neither harming it or it is not advantageous to it. So there is no effect on it. So there is amensalism. Okay, so option C is the correct answer. Next question is from May 2015. Which ecosystem has the maximum biomass? The answer is option D, forest ecosystem. Forest ecosystem consists of large number of trees which are massive and long-lived, and the trees contribute significantly to biomass through their trunks, branches, leaves and roots. The tropical rainforests in particular have the highest biomass among all the ecosystem due to their dense vegetation and favorable growth condition. So option D is the correct answer. Moving to next question from July 2015. An association of individuals of different species living in the same habitat and having functional interactions is what? Option C, biotic community. Individuals of different species living in the same habitat having functional interactions. They are interacting. That is a biotic community. Next question is from May 2017. Presence of plants arranged into well-defined vertical layers depending on their height can be best in what? That is tropical rainforest. So tropical rainforest exhibits a well-defined vertical stratification of plants. We started with that. Actually, we explained the diagram also. There is the trees, then the shrubs, the herbs, then the grass. Stratification, isn't it? Yeah. Who coined the term ecosystem? Answer is option B, A.G. Tamsley. This is also very important. Now, who is known as the father of ecological ecosystem? That is Odum. Okay. Which of the following is a characteristic feature of cropland ecosystem? And this is from May 2016. So, in cropland ecosystem, the genetic diversity is often low because they are monocultures. That means they are dominated by a single species or variety of crops. So, considering a cropland ecosystem, we'll be either doing a paddy culture, or we'll be like doing maize culture, or we'll do sugar cane. So it is like an individual crop. So this reduces the genetic diversity and makes the system more vulnerable to pests, diseases and environmental changes. So option B is the correct answer. Next question is from May 2013. Secondary productivity is rate of formation of new organic matter by dash. What is by? B, consumers. That is the secondary productivity is done by the consumers. So it is the rate at which the consumers resynthesize organic materials. So option B is the correct answer. Now, natural reservoir of phosphorus is. So actually we learned it, right? From the rocks, they will be like, after weathering, it will be moving to the soil. It will be like, sorry, here it is moving to the soil. It will be like soluble in the soil, and then it is taken by the plants, and then it is taken to the animals. From the plants, it is taken to the animals, and from animals, both plants and animals, dead and waste matter again supply the phosphorus to the soil back. And it happens in the aquatic ecosystem also. So that means answer is option B. The reservoir is rock. Now, this question is from May 2023. Okay, the equation given is GPP minus R is equal to NPP. What is GPP? Gross productivity. What is the gross productivity? Gross primary productivity. And NPP is referring to net primary productivity. Now, what is R? Question is, R here is what? We know that out of the gross primary productivity, some amount of organic compounds are utilized for respiration, and the remaining is the net primary productivity. So PR refers to respiratory loss. D, respiratory loss. So net primary productivity serves as a crucial measure in ecology, representing the amount of energy that is available for consumption by higher trophic levels within an ecosystem. And this is calculated by subtracting respiration loss, which encompasses the energy expended by autotrophs during cellular respiration, from the gross primary productivity. And this denotes the total amount of energy captured by autotrophs through photosynthesis. Now, by quantifying this NPP, the scientists can assess the productivity and health of ecosystems, providing valuable insights into their dynamics and sustainability. Next question from July 2022. Detritivores break down detritus into smaller particles. What is this process called? Simple, fragmentation, isn't it? So they break down the larger particles into smaller particles. What is it called? Fragmentation. Moving to the next question from September 2021. In the equation, GPP minus R is equal to NPP. What does R represent? Again, the same question, respiration loss. So it is again repeated in September 2021 also. We had the same question in 2023 as well. So it is repeated again in 2023. Okay, that comes an end to this class today. Hope you understood everything. So we are winding up today. Thank you. Bye.